Welcome, everyone, to Achievement Hunting 101. This is Wildwest 08 taking over for Big Ell as he decided to do some family stuff the day after Christmas. Who would think that? I don't know. Anyways, I guess I'm on level 330 and I'm joined by some special guests tonight. First up, we have Matriarch.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I am great. I mean, it is the second night of Hanukkah, so, there's still reason to celebrate.
There's always reasons to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And also, because two people is just not so much on a holiday episode, we had to drag from the frozen tundra a certain Kooshmoose to join us as well.
Thanks for asking.
I don't think there was a question in there, but...
thanks for asking me to come on.
Wait, I didn't ask and M didn't ask. Did you just hijack our stream?
Level 330, that's awesome.
Yeah, 330, that is a lot. Well, happy holidays to you guys. I hope you had a great day yesterday and or however you celebrate, had a great day celebrating with family and friends. I trust it was a good experience for y'all.
Oh yeah. I don't think I got any video game related gifts, which is odd. Huh.
I absolutely, yeah. The only reason I got video game related gifts is because my wife and I don't really exchange presents. So I bought my own, I bought my own games. So I got some stuff.
There you go.
We get each other's little stuff, but the days of like going out and buying crazy stuff, it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, my mom had a very interesting approach to holiday buying this year because I'm generally in a position where the things that I buy my own games when I want them. I don't wait till holidays or birthdays. So she's like, I want you to think about something, between when she asked me in the holidays that you go, I'd really like this, but I wouldn't buy it for myself, and just tell me what that thing is. And it was a good strategy. She wound up getting me a hoodie that I wanted but wouldn't have bought myself, but it wasn't gaming related.
Nice.
What about you, sure. Wild West?
Yeah.
What'd you get? Anything interesting?
Well, gaming related. My wife got me the blue Elite controller, so I'm kind of filling out the rainbow there. I've got the red one and the blue one now, so she needs the white one and the black one, I guess.
So now you're ready for them to break. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my Halo one is, but that was partially my fault when I can't remember what game I was playing. And I have a recliner and everything. And I kind of slammed it a little bit on the recliner when something didn't work out. And then I forgot it was on there and I started putting down the recliner and it kind of fell off.
Oh no.
Okay.
Not too much, but
I was expecting like a springboard launch into the wall, like when you kick the footrest in or something, but okay.
No, I think y'all know me. I don't get that angry.
No. So, but you're in the recliner, you're folding the recliner back to sitting position, and it just launches, as per the cartoons.
Yeah, maybe I need to install that in there, but no, I got that. And the other gaming related thing is she got me the college football 25 or 24 or whatever the new one was. So
very nice
that to play, but it's always fun. I love doing stuff for the kids. I'm sure Koosh, you feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And then M with family and everything. I love doing stuff for my family, for my kids. It's my favorite time of the year. But anyway, enough holiday talk, right?
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know if you've ever gotten from the kids like, that's it. Have you ever heard that's it?
So I did get that a little bit from my youngest this year because she came out. We always do Santa stuff first, and so she came out, and literally every day for the last 2 months, she has asked for this big Godzilla thing with the remote control that was at Target. And it can walk a little bit, and it can breathe some hissing. You put some water in it and it'll breathe some steam and everything. And so she came out and she was looking through it, because we were like, oh, I'm sure Santa will get it for you or something. And I had bought it. I always buy the girls a personal gift every year, and I had bought it for her. And so she kind of did that kind of thing. Is there anything else, Dad? And I was like, well, we'll just wait and see, and then that was the last gift she opened, and I've been getting destroyed by Godzilla all day the last 2 days. So
nice.
Yeah, we wound up. Oh, go ahead, Koosh.
I was just gonna say last year we got the sad face and I'm disappointed, and we're like, well, yeah, you're also a little bit spoiled. But luckily this year we didn't have to deal with any of that sort of stuff. So it was a good Christmas for the kid. So she approved. So that was a happy year.
That's good. Awesome. Yeah, I had my my niece and nephew over on Sunday, actually, since that was just the day that worked out for everybody. And so we did all our gift exchange. There was no disappointment on Sunday. And then when it got to Christmas Eve, my nephew's like, I can't wait to open up presents tomorrow. And it's like, boy, no. None left. So he was really ready for a whole round two.
Oh no.
Of course they are, right?
Sad times.
Well, I'm glad that y'all had a good week so far, and I hope everyone else did as well that's listening. Happy holidays to you and your family. And Elle, we miss you. I look forward to recording you with you here in 2 weeks and hearing about your Christmases. He had 6 of them this week, it sounds like. So he's busy. But we miss you. And let's get on to some gaming topics. First topic, Elle always loves to talk about 12 Days of Christmas and Targets. We can't go out without talking about that stuff. How are y'all doing with your 12 Days of Christmas? Finished yet, or still working on it?
Well, 12 Days of Christmas gives me a lot of anxiety. I'm finding these days, because it's hard to find the time during that many achievements in a month when I don't want to do it using a whole bunch of really easy, quick games. So I've been having some fun with it. I'm up to day 11 right now, which, for those of you who don't remember, which is totally understandable, is the punctuation day. So you have to get achievements with an exclamation point, a period, a comma, or an apostrophe. And I'm at 8 of 12. And that's just 8 of 11, pardon me. And that's one of those where I know there's a game somewhere that I have access to, I'm sure, where it's just poorly translated and there's a random dot in the middle of each of the achievement names, and I could probably do that. But I've been going through and playing a little to the left. I got 4 out of that game. I got 4 out of Botany Manor, and I have 1 more to go there. So it's been a nice way to sort of do a little backlog cleanup. I did wind up starting one game, I think, for the all capitals day, because whatever I had, I wasn't into. But so far, so good. I think I'll get it wrapped up. What about you, Koosh?
Well, yeah, I was kind of playing or trying to complete some Game Pass stuff. So, and it didn't just kind of slot in. So, I had to take some time off to just kind of rattle off what I had left. I got a quite extensive backlog, and don't always finish or even 80% the game I start, because I like to sample. So I had a lot of stuff to choose from. But I was kind of putting it off, and I came back from Christmas night, doing everything I needed to do. I had a little bit of time left, and I was like, you know what? I have just enough time. I can get the 12th day done today. So I knocked it out with a little bit of zero strain, just for getting those things with cumulative flags. And I play a lot of the Hidden Cats games. I just love those. I love the hidden picture games. And yeah, they're cats. That's fine, whatever. But if there was a dog version, I'd be so much happy to play Hidden Dogs. But I'm playing Hidden Cats. Every time they put one out, it's like $4, whatever. It's an instant buy because I know it's going to be fun. And so that was, I did not save that for the 12th day. And by the time I realized that I needed cumulative, I only had 5 achievements left that would do that. But yeah, so I was able to get everything done. I ended up spending a lot more time in Clunky Hero, which is a Metroidvania that isn't fantastic, but it's not horrible. And I was able to use that for all of day 11, and
nice,
and a little bit of day 9. So I was able to sprinkle out and try to get some of these games in. I actually was able to use a Game Pass game for a bunch of day 7 and day 8, and that was the Lego 2K Drive. That was perfect for days 7 and 8. So yeah, so I got done. I'm happy. I then had trouble with the challenges, or the gosh, what do they call those?
The targets?
I don't do so well with them. Yeah, the targets. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So the build a snowman target, I had to put some thought into, because getting 8s was difficult. 80-point achievements aren't that common. Things with 8 aren't that common. So that one took a little bit of time, but luckily I was able to settle on something that wasn't too painful to do. And I ended up using cell damage.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the punctuation one would be a little bit hard, but luckily I was, just kind of using McPixel, for the daily rewards thing, and they all have, pretty much all of them have some kind of exclamation point or period in it, so that made it really easy on that one. So if you need it, if you still haven't played it, you still have a few more days to play that. If you need some help with that, but
no, my plan at the moment is to get that one more I need in Botany Manor, and then I have 2 more achievements left in Refunct that both are with punctuation. So hopefully I can get that done and get a completion. So for the punctuation day, I think I'm good. Or were you referring to punctuation or 8s?
I was referring to punctuation.
Okay, just want to make sure, because we're just talking about 8s too. With the 8s, I know most people are going to be well done with this by the time, but the ACA Neo Geo games, if you have access to them, are great. They all are a bunch of 80-point achievements. So I wound up of merging. I think it was day 6 or day 7 was all capital letters. That was not neither of those, was it? No, it was day 8 I actually used, I think, because ACA Neo Geo, day 8 was games in a series, or series with more than 8 games in it. And ACA Neo Geo counts, and there were a bunch of 80-point achievements. So that kind of helped knock both of those out pretty easily.
Well, perfect. Well, hopefully you'll be able to finish by the time this podcast released. You'll only have a few more days to finish up the 12 days of Christmas, and also your targets. We've kind of covered them a little bit, but you've got the triple-digit target where you got to get 3 achievements for the golds, and that means you need to get worth 3 achievements worth 100 true achievement score or more. You also have, as Koosh was talking about, you have to unlock 8 achievements for the gold in Do You Want to Build a Snowman? Because who doesn't want to build a snowman in the wintertime? And that's for getting 8 in the game name, achievement name, or gamer score. And then the last one is the easiest one, Bargain Hunter. Earn 15 achievements for the gold in in games that have been on sale in 2024, which most of us probably have hundreds of those unlocked by now. So,
yeah, I can imagine. So I'm curious. I think TA shows you the total number of achievements you've unlocked for each target. It doesn't just stop counting because you've earned that already. And I feel like most people are going to have a relatively high percentage of the achievements they've earned this month be one of those things. So I'm just curious about numbers like that, because it feels like almost everything's been on sale at some point.
Yeah. Let's see. Scaro Vase is number 1 on my leaderboard with my friends. He has 471 achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 405. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Yeah, you're like 5th, I think, on my list.
Oh, wow. Okay.
5th or 6th.
I see a lot of people that did better than me. But yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, yeah, you'll have a few more days to get both the targets, 12 days of Christmas done, before we start looking at the new year. And so, since we are kind of, by the time this will come out, we'll have about 2 more days till the new year. I wanted to give Matriarch and Koosh an opportunity to kind of talk about what goals you have or resolutions that you had for 2024 and anything you're looking for 2025. So in doing so, I went back. I was talking with Koosh in the pre-show, and I went back and I looked at the patron responses and the host responses for last year. and I'll kind of run through them real fast so we can hopefully generate some discussion and podcast discussion, because I'd like to see what everyone's justification were for either not completing their goals or for saying, hey, I actually did better than I thought I would. So we had Vulgar Latin said he wanted to play longer completion games and work on his completion percentage. Freem said he wanted to turn over his bounty board and, hopefully complete those games that he's close to beating. Our own Chewy said he wanted to clear his non-backwards compatible game and ditch his Xbox 360. So I expect to see a picture in the Thames of that here pretty soon in the Patreon. I want to see a picture, or maybe we'll just start bringing the cutters and cut some Wookiee fur or something. I don't know. Northern Last said that they wanted to work on non-backwards compatible games as well and recover Bean Dive. J Block wanted the 100,000 gamer score and more completions than start, especially on non-backwards compatible games. Wastelander, Joy to the World, I'm not going to forget that name ever. He wanted more boosting with people on the server and was looking for 30,000 score this year. Hopefully you're able to get that. Arucharek, also non-backwards compatible games, bigger completions matter, and 20,000 score in the year, possibly in 360 games. That would be quite an accomplishment. X said he wanted to spend 10% less time staring at the dashboard on his Xbox.
He's accomplished that.
Yes.
Ahizo wanted to hit 50% completion percentage. Skeptical Mario wanted 90% completion percentage. Mighty Mango wanted 2.5 million gamer score, somewhere around there. Icefire TN wanted more completions than starts. Top 5 Metrovania leaderboard as well. Xlax Jester wanted 360 year completions. He wanted to work on his completions for that. And then we're going to start getting into the host so we can kind of see what your justifications are. L has some explaining to do with. He wanted an 80% completion percentage, 1.3 million gamer score, and he wanted to focus on real games and 360 games. So he's going to have some time to listen to our podcast and see what his justification for that was. But he also wanted GTA 4, Oblivion, and current games was to work on that. So I've been trying to get him to play Indiana Jones, and so far no luck.
Even the first achievement, nothing.
I tried. I said, "Hey, you're gonna love that first achievement," and he's like, "Yeah, I'll get to it." But I get it. It's Christmas time right now. All right, we'll go to Koosh first. Do you remember what your goal was for 2024?
The day after we recorded, I'm sure I forgot. So apparently you took notes, so thank you. The only things I want to play on Game Pass. So when considering Game Pass leavings, instead of just going for everything, instead be a little more choosy and just say, you know what? Nah, I don't need to do that. Yeah, it's got to walk through. Yeah, it's 10 hours, but I don't want to do it. It's a scary game. Those sorts of things. So I think I did okay. I don't have any metrics, but I don't feel like I suffered too much. Now I know I didn't do perfectly on this because there were some games that as I was playing them, I was like, why did I do this? Like I shouldn't. I can't think of specifically what they are because thankfully, part of having a bad memory is you don't have to remember those bad games. So I don't have to remember those painful experiences, but I do know that they were there. Non-BC 360 games, I played a few. I didn't do as well as I want to. I have a stack of stuff I just need to get through. And the problem is Game Pass keeps putting out stuff that I do want to play. And of course they keep making new games and I'm a sampler. I like to try everything that interests me. And unfortunately, that means a lot of things, which makes it hard to keep my completion percentage up. I had a goal. I'm glad I didn't say it because I didn't hit it. I will definitely hit it next year, I think, of 50%. I know that's not anything compared to what you completionists do, but it would be nice to see some progress that I'm actually getting through some of the backlog and things and finish almost done games. I did make an effort early in the year to look at that list of stuff and kind of target that for the next gap. But then somewhere around, I don't know, the first couple months of 2024, I think I forgot about that strategy because I don't remember doing that recently when I was looking for other things to complete. I was just looking at the top of my recently played and going for recent completions or things that were near or that I'd forgotten about because I switched on to something else. I tried to get the stuff that was floating near the top of my games that I had played that weren't completed and work on those. So no, I don't have great metrics on any of that stuff, but I did not do horrible. I did not do great, but I think I did okay. I think I did stick to some of those things.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. What are your goals? You have any goals? Have you thought about anything for 2025 yet?
No, I haven't thought about any specific goals, but I'm sure they'll be pretty much the same. I definitely don't want to start playing things on Game Pass I don't want to play. So that thing, I think I'll be able to keep that. I would, I'm looking at all these 360 games. I love the 360 era of games. So to me, going back and playing those things that look a little bit crusty is not a big problem. I love doing that. So I will get to some of those. And I've got a pile sitting right there. I just want to get to, and I just need to get. I need Game Pass to suck a little more, but I don't want it to, but I need it to. So yeah.
Well, great. Well, I hope whatever you were able to get to those 360 games this year and get some more of those out of the way. But I agree that I think the 360 is a great area that it is difficult going back to, and it's a little slower, especially when you're used to playing on the Series X and everything. But it's still fun. I had a fun time playing the B-movie game with the kids recently, and it was a blast. And I got a few more to do as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So we were lucky enough to have Matrarch last year as well. She said that she wanted to 80% completion percentage, 1 million gamer score, and 800 completed games. How do you think you did?
2 out of 3 ain't bad. So I hit 80% completion percentage, and I've managed to mostly stay just about there or a little above. I need something like 360 achievements per percentage point, and right now I'm at 80.2%. So it's going well. It's definitely down to a more focused style gameplay for me. There are 2 ways to increase your completion percentage, right? There's either play your backlog and pick up what you've done before, or start a whole bunch of easy things and just complete them, because just the numbers are going to eventually work out for you. But I've been pretty happy with how I've been playing over the last year. So I did hit 80%. I've managed to stay around there. And I think 80% is kind of comfortable for me. I'm not a completionist, and that's generally as much of a game as I'll do unless I really feel like I can finish it. I did hit 1 million gamer score a couple weeks ago, so finally got that done. It has done nothing. Thank you. It has done and will do nothing to change my gaming habits. It's just a number, but it was fun to get there. And to I got it on the nose. I did an achievement from Final Fantasy IV. Because that was my favorite game of all time. And so it was really cool to earn an achievement in it. And I also did it on the day of my 17th anniversary of my first achievement, I think it was. So It all lined up really nicely. I know it's WoW on one hand, but all the people that made accounts 4 years ago who already have 1 million, I'm like, oh, 17 years. That took a while, but got it done. So the last one, though, 800 completed games, I failed miserably. I have, I think, 747 now or something to that effect. 800 completions would have been, I think, 87 completions over the year. And of course, there were some completions I lost during the year because of DLC and whatnot. But I think the thing that affected that most really was letting go of the achievement streak, because I don't feel that need to turn on my console every day and just get something. And there's plenty of achievements to get. But there was a stretch earlier this month I didn't earn an achievement for a whole 7 days, right? So I'm just not playing that way as much anymore. It might take me another year and a half to get to 800 completed games. So I did fail that one. I failed it spectacularly, but I'm not going to hold it against myself. I think that's more indicative of changing the pace I'm gaming at to a way that I'm really much more comfortable playing at. And as one little quick aside, I know with one of these Icefire had said he wanted to get those Metroidvania leaderboards. I'm pretty sure earlier this week he hit number 1 or number 2 in a bunch. So I'm pretty sure he did that one. So I just wanted to shout him out because that's pretty amazing to get those kinds of numbers.
Oh, absolutely. for you and for him. Yeah, that's yeah.
All right, what about
Those,
how'd you do? Because it looks like you had some really specific goals.
I did. I was kind of looking at when I was listening back to what I had said last year. I was more of focus on games, which is what I try to do every year. Is just say, hey, these are the games that I wanted to try to focus on that have been in my backlog for so long, or games that I do enjoy playing, or the series I enjoy playing. I just some they I wouldn't say scare me, but it's just like, man, those games are so long. It's like, okay, I'll just play something that's a little bit less amount of time, and that way I can kind of play it and then move on to something else, and then I do something else. But the first one I had just started Mass Effect Andromeda, and I was able to finish that and had a good time there. The one that has just been a plague I just have never gone back to do is Witcher 3. I absolutely love the second one, and I bought the third one, pre-ordered it and everything. I played it for like an hour or two when it first came out, and then I put it down. And then I'll start it every once in a while and be like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then I'll be like, oh man, that's 150 hours right there. And I'm just going to put it down. And so, but this, I think I'm going to try to do it this year. They just announced the news and that they're in full production and on Witcher 4, and I've got me excited. I'm reading one of the books right now. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Although I did just start a big game, so it'll have to wait till after that's done. But I wanted to get Dragon Age Inquisition or Valhalla done. I'll going to be spoiler alert. I will be talking about Dragon Age Inquisition a little bit later. I was able to get that done. That was been in the backlog for many years, and I did just start Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So obviously, we're not going to get done in the next week, but still, I'm starting to play that one and enjoy that one. And the last one that I failed at miserably was the management true achievement leaderboards. I love management games, as I'll wake Koosh up here in a minute or two, but I enjoyed them quite a bit, and I did play a few this year, and I have another one that I just installed from the countdown sale. It finally went to the price that I've been waiting for, and I got it installed, so I got to start that one too, and I'll probably talk about that in the future, but maybe this next year we'll see how it goes. But as far as 2025, I do want to look at getting Witcher 3 done, finish up Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then I want to play some of these games that Microsoft says are coming out this year, like Avowed. Hopefully, some of those other ones that maybe aren't Microsoft exclusive, like Judas or Clockwork Revolution. We talked a lot about as I was kind of listening back, and we haven't really heard much. But I'd love to start playing some of these new games that hopefully we're entering that cycle with Microsoft Studios that they can just be releasing games every quarter that are bangers, like Volger always says, that has those Indiana Jones type feels that are just great games, and brings people into Game Pass and everything. So that's kind of what I would like to do for 2025. But we will keep track of this, and we'll see who we can put on blast next year in at the end of 2025, and I'm moving on to 2026. But yeah, we are getting to the end of 2024, and I hope for both of y'all it was a good year outside of video games, as well as whatever joys you were able to find playing games this year. I figured Elle and I will probably talk about it here and the next time we record, so I'll leave my selections for that time. But I would love to hear your favorite games that you played in 2024, and we'll start with Matrarch this time. What were your favorite games that you played?
Sure. I typically do not play a whole lot of games in the year they release. So I was very excited to actually have enough games to choose from this year to say these are all games that came out in 2024 that I enjoyed in 2024. And before I hit my top 3, I just want to give a shout out to Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, because I've enjoyed that one immensely too. But my top 3, first up, is in no particular order, well, maybe in 3, 2, 1 order, is MLB 2024. I am a huge baseball fan, and I probably have not played a baseball video game since baseball on the NES. Mostly because I just have never really been interested in doing so. And it's awesome. Like, I'm so glad MLB The Show is now on multiple platforms and we can enjoy it on Xbox. It is just so like well crafted. If you are into baseball, like, this just checks all the right boxes, the recreations of the parks and different, like if your fan base does a particular thing, like they're aware of that and include that in there. And then the way it deals with baseball history and replaying certain events and all that. And you can mess with sliders. So if you're struggling with the game, you can balance it really well. Like I've really enjoyed MLB The Show 2024. So that was the first one. Number 2 for me is Balatro. Balatro is a rare instance of a game I did not know anything about coming into it, and I got caught up in the hype about it from what I was hearing. And my brother actually had purchased it first, and I went to hang out with him one day, and he's like, "You really should try this." And he was absolutely right. And for like 2 weeks, I held off. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to wait for a sale. And I finally just bought it. And it's fantastic. I think I've put 50 or 60 hours into it. If you're not familiar with Balatro, Balatro is it's a card game. It's a bit of a deck builder, but the gameplay mechanics deal with poker hands. So there's a whole little controversy going on. The game is out in Europe with the European rating board wanting to give it an 18 plus rating because it involves gambling, but it does not. You just need to know what poker hands are. But yeah, based on how you build your decks and the different powers of the different decks, and you get these vouchers that will like make no, it's not a voucher. You have different jokers that you get, and the jokers will modify the cards in certain ways. So there'll be a joker that makes every card either just a spade or just a heart, and so that will affect how you build your hands. And the whole thing's about going for the highest score possible. And going into it any more than that would take a long time. But Balatro is fantastic. I have zero regrets about buying that at full price. It's probably a game I will never complete because it is very, very grindy and does require quite a bit of luck because you need to get good draws. But Balatro is excellent. And for me, my number 1 was Aiden Chronicle. 100 Heroes. I talked about this game a lot over the last year. I kickstarted it many years ago. It as I think I have mentioned on the podcast previously, if Japanese RPGs are not your style, turn-based RPGs are not your style, it will not change your mind. But if you grew up in that sort of pocket of like late era SNES to mid era PlayStation 1 RPGs, if you're a fan of Suikoden, it checks all of the right boxes. I was thrilled with my experience. There's DLC content coming out for it in the new year. That's some little story expansions that I'm excited for. So yeah, that was my favorite game of the year.
Yeah, I would agree with you on MLB 2024. I had played those games on the other consoles before, and I've always liked them, and I'm so glad that they're on the Xbox now, and I think they're on the Switch as well. So it's just nice to be able to play those because I never was a big fan of the 2K games, but I know you're a big Mets fan, and my Dodgers still beat your Mets and everything, so.
That's okay. We weren't. This Mets team was, got all the way there on whimsy and joy, as everyone was saying. They definitely were not the team that was outfitted to be the championship team this year. Although I'm still convinced they would have beaten the Yankees in the World Series if they had made it, because the Yankees were on quote unquote easy mode. But we can talk about that more when we're not boring, Koosh. I do want to note though that for MLB The Show, this is one of those games that if you are a Game Pass lever chaser, it does have an easy achievement list. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you're not into baseball, obviously it wouldn't change your mind about being into a baseball game, but it's easy to rig the achievements. If you have a friend, you can jump online and get most of them pretty easily playing online. The hardest one is one where you have to play, or not hardest, the longest investment is one where you have to play 24 games and they only have to be 3-inning games. So it is good for that too. If you're looking for a little easy gamer score from a Game Pass game, if you're the kind of person who chases a Game Pass game that's leaving, definitely completable within that 15-day window.
Yep, definitely. It is a chunky. It'll take you, I think it's like 100 gigs or something, but
yes,
but it'll be easy 6 to 8 hour completion if you're looking for that.
That reminds me, that jogs my memory of a Game Pass game that I wanted to get off my list, and like the sort of thing that was like, you know what, I don't enjoy this, I shouldn't be playing this, and that was the Madden stacks. Like, I was doing Madden stacks like once a year, and man, I hate it. I don't know why I did it, and thankfully that was one of the series that caused me to come up with that resolution. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And I had the opposite experience in some way. I really, like I said before, never had any interest in playing an MLB game because I go to the ballpark 25 times a year. I watch plenty of baseball. Like, I don't need to play the video game. And I downloaded it, I think, to help L boost something, because he was, even with the 2023, he kept saying, like, you would really like this game. It's not just about baseball. Like, you would really like the game because it really gets into baseball. So for me, I had the opposite experience where I didn't like hate it, like, I'm boosting this achievement, like opened my eyes to, wow, this is actually amazing. If you're into this, they do such a good job. It's really, really great.
Yeah. All right, Koosh, what are your, I know that if I went back and listened to all the podcasts we were on, you probably have about 20 games that you called your Game of the Years, but
Game of the year.
You only get three, three games. So what were your 3 games this year?
Yeah, this was tough. So I just basically, I picked stuff that I don't think I talked about because it's been a while since I've been on. And these were bigger experiences. I do like the smaller kind of indie games just about as much, if not more, than the really big blockbuster games. But for whatever reason, the ones that I come up with are fairly large games. Star Wars Outlaws. Now, this game was had an interesting launch history. When it first came out, people they weren't hot on it. And I know that over time, as they've patched it, as they've kind of changed systems, people have warmed to it, and it's doing better now review wise than it was when it first came out. The big issue that people had was that this is a stealth game, there's a large percentage of stealth to this game, and they were kind of forcing you to do it. And if you failed a stealth part, they didn't always have a shoot your way out option. And people wanted that, apparently. So they kind of changed that. And from what I've heard, not every situation it operates like that. Now, I played it before they did that, and I beat the game before they did that. So I don't know from firsthand experience how they've changed it. But from all accounts that I'm hearing, podcasts that I listen to, they say that the game is great now. It's more in line with what people want from a stealth game. They don't want those automatic failures. But as a Star Wars lover, this game was great from top to bottom. Number one, it's gorgeous. The graphics are amazing. Like they did a really good job with that. The different locales that you go to are detailed. It's really, I just had a great time just walking around and doing everything. The time estimate says 42 to 53 hours. I spent 90. So, and there weren't guides or whatever, but I wasn't really using them. I was just going on and just playing the game organically and just doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. It's a lot more about your reputation with these different cartels. And, it's kind of a push pull of, if I do this job for this one cartel, at the end of the job, I have a chance to switch, to flip the script and like screw those guys and like go with this other cartel and get some, some cred with them. But for the most part, I played it kind of straight. Like, if I'm taking a job for somebody, I'm going to do the job for that person. I'm not going to back out at the last minute unless they had some sort of interesting moral reason for doing that, which is to say, none of that matters. It's really all about just upping the numbers on each cartel to get all the achievements, to get, do really well with each cartel. So that's probably longer than I wanted to go on Star Wars Outlaws, but I thought it was a great game. If you were off of it before because of the stealth, maybe check it out now, listen to someone you trust, and check it out. They've actually put out a DLC, a free add-on. Since that time, I have not gone back to it because it focuses on the card game, Sabacc. And I didn't love Sabacc in the game, and that's not enough to draw me back. I'm going to wait for more DLC to come out. And when that does come out, I'll go back and I'll kind of knock it all out at the same time. I feel like I should talk more about it, but let's just say it's not a great combat game. It's not about the combat. It's about the stealth. It's about the sneaking around and sneaking into bases and things like that. And that's really where that game excels. All right.
Well, that just means you need to come back on the show another time and talk exclusively about Star Wars Outlaws.
I will gladly do that once they put out more DLC, and I can organize my thoughts. Mafia Definitive Edition. Man, I heard you talk about it, and I was just like, oh, I wish I had talked about that too. Or I wish I was there to even talk about it. That game was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
So it was on Game Pass. It was about to leave Game Pass, so I did the stack. I beat it on Xbox. I beat it on the PC. I loved it. Awesome experience, and what a change. Like, you start out that game, you start driving, and I'm like, man, what have I done to myself? This driving is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But as you go through it, you get better at the driving. The driving feels better. And yeah, so what presents itself poorly because of that driving, it actually gets a lot better, and the game kind of makes up for it. Just the story and just everything. I was really involved in it. I'm super excited to keep moving through that Mafia trilogy, and then eventually to get to Mafia: The Old Country. I'm pretty excited for this series. And finally, Kena Bridge of Spirits. Now, this was a game I was super interested in because we couldn't get it. It was for PlayStation. It was for PC. We did not get it. And eventually this year, I think it was this year. It might have been late last year. Kena was ported to the Xbox, and this game is beautiful. It's like playing a Pixar movie. The combat is more than I thought it was. And the exploration is amazing. Just nobody's talking about this game. I don't know why. Probably because it came out a long time ago. This is a fantastic Zelda-like experience for the Xbox, and I had so much fun with this, and really wish I had been able to talk about it or gone somewhere to talk about it. And yeah, let's see. So this one had 15 to 20 hours, and I spent 30 because once again, just kind of doing my own thing, not really just trying to slam through it and get the achievements. I was trying to experience and explore, and what a beautiful game. I hope they make more. I was playing it on normal difficulty, and it is challenging. But once they do have the option to turn it down to make it easier for combat and such. And I ended up doing that on a couple bosses that were just kicking my butt, and no shame. Wow. When Kena Bridge of Spirits goes on sale, if you're into the Zelda experience, and this thing is a stunner, it looks amazing, I would recommend taking a look at it when this goes on sale.
Yeah, I had not heard of that one. Yeah, or I think maybe you talked about it a little bit in the Discord, but I'll have to watch for a sale on that and check it out.
Oh yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed those games and brought some more attention to all of those. Elle and I will do our picks here in the future, and so you can look forward to that in the new year. So the next item on our list is the game showcase. I'll start first since we've been able to hear from both of them on their favorite games. Like I talked about earlier, I want to talk about Dragon Age Inquisition, and I think this kind of fits a little bit since this is the third game in the Dragon Age series, and the fourth game just came out, Dragon Age Velguard, which unfortunately has been kind of hit with a little bit of disappointing reviews, and the sales have been starting to go down pretty much, and hasn't had me wanting to bite on it just yet. I might wait for EA Play, or I might buy it. We'll see what I can do with that, but I absolutely love the Dragon Age series. The first game kind of opened my eyes to more of the mythological, myth stuff for that. I was not really into that growing up. I liked more of the sports games, the shooters and all that. And I honestly I've been thinking about it today, and I couldn't remember how I got onto Dragon Age, but it was one of my most favorite games from this 360 era. It was just an enormous game. It was big. It was fun. It was pretty at the time. I just loved my whole time with it. The second game was not the complete opposite, but I just did not have as much fun with the story and the characters of the second game. So it kind of put me off a little bit from starting number 3 because of that. But I remember I was at my school, my college, and we were waiting for a basketball game to start, and Amazon hit me with the lightning fast deal, and I was kind of looking through the video game stuff on that for those little like hour-long deals they do. And I saw Dragon Age Inquisition had just come out with the Game of the Year disc for it, so it had all the DLC and everything on there. And normally it was going for $50-$60 at the time, and it was on sale for like $20. And I was like, ooh, that is perfect. I get the disc, I get all the DLC, I'll buy it, I'll start playing it. And then it sat in my backlog for literally 5 or 6 years. And then it was always in one of those things where it's like the new year would start and I'd be like, okay, what kind of big RPGs do I want to play this year? And that was kind of one of the ones that had always been like, I need to do Dragon Age Inquisition. I need to do it. And I just hadn't done it. And I finally got to this year and I was like, you know what? Now is the time. I need to do Dragon Age Inquisition. And I absolutely loved it. It was a return to form for me in the series. I had a lot of fun with it. So just kind of setting it up a little bit, you end up starting, you create your character. You have the traditional 3 roles that you can play, the mage role, the rogue class, and the warrior class. And then from there you can kind of decide if you want to be an elf, a human. You have different options, and each option gives you a little perk that you start the game with. So you kind of do a little bit of a prologue that's about 2 hours long, and you kind of set up the story where there's a breach in one of the veils, and it's creating demons are starting to come through and everything. And so when you end up getting kind of your character ends up getting thrown out of the breach where the demons are coming through. So people arrest you. They're like, well, what's going on? What's happening? And you end up following one of the main characters, or one of the main characters from the game, through the prologue up until you finish that and close one of the breach and create this kind of huge explosion, which kind of sets you on the story to start the Inquisition, to close all the veils and stop the demons from coming through. And along the way, just like the other Dragon Age games, you meet characters, you have a story where you visit exotic lands, and you are on a quest with your Inquisition that you end up becoming the head of, to stop all these, basically stop the bad guy and stop all the demons from coming through these veils. The game is gorgeous. It did release, this was one of the last games that EA did that released on the 360 and the One. I don't know anything about the 360 version. I did look it up a little bit after I was done playing with it, just was curious to see. You can still earn all the achievements from it. I just have not looked at it to see how it compares to the One version. I played it on my Series X, and it ran beautiful. I didn't really have any issues at all. Like any RPG, you have your skill tree, which I think I'd have to go back and play a little bit more on the Dragon Age Origins, the first game, to see if there was anything that, because I don't really remember the skill tree on that one, but I loved this one. You usually, when you start out the game, you have like 4 or 5 main skill trees or branches that you can go off of. And then as you're going through them, some of them have little sub branches that you can put points into as well. And those are all the actions that you have. So I played as a elf archer, and I was able to use that skill for, like making a really heavy, like one-shot archer that you can, cause thousands of damage on and everything. There's other stuff where you can make yourself invisible for a little bit of time. And so there's different stuff like that. I didn't really play with a lot of the other classes. I just did my class. And then about halfway through the story, you can add kind of a bigger, you can open up more branches through a story element in the game. So I was able to, you can choose one of 3 of these extra branches to go into, and I decided to do elemental damage. So I was able to do some fire and lightning, add those onto my arrow attacks and everything. So it was just a lot of fun to experiment with that. And you can go back in your home base. You can go back and change your skills at any time you want to. You just pay a little fee, and you can change it to whatever you want to do. Like all the other Dragon Age games, Inquisition has you meeting characters and then bringing those characters along with you to help fight the demons and other people that you meet, animals or humans, elves, anything that are bad that you're fighting. You bring along 3 at a time, and you can kind of mix and match who you want to bring. And so usually you want to bring a good team that's going to help you defeat whoever you're going with. So might be good at some time to bring more of the knights or the berserkers that are heavy hitters, and then have kind of someone that is a mage that's more of a healer, or maybe at depending on who you're facing, maybe you need to mix that up and go a different way to beat the boss or whoever you're fighting with at that time. One of the things that they did in this game is in your home base, they have a war table that you can send your allies that are not that are a part of your Inquisition, but do not go out with you on missions. They stay at the castle that you're at, and you can send them and do missions that will go through real time. So if the mission says it takes 2 hours, it's going to take 2 hours of real time, not in-game time. So usually what I did was I would send them all on missions before I was done playing for the day, and then when I got on the next day, they were done with their mission, and I got whatever reward it was, and would send them out at the end of that one. And you have to do 50 of those for an achievement, and there's plenty of them to do. So you just keep sending them out, and about halfway through the game, you'll have enough for that. You do get loot drops, just like in other RPGs. So you can increase your bow, your sword, your shield, whatever, your armor, whatever you want. And then you can add extra damage or extra protection, through runes that you pick up or other stuff that you can pick up along the way, and you'll make your character bigger, just like a lot of Western RPGs do. Pretty much all RPGs do, I guess. I enjoyed the map. There's a lot of different locations and puzzles in the game that you're able to visit and explore. Each of these maps had some collectibles that you needed to pick up. They have many rifts in them that you would have to close. Each rift is usually 2 waves of demons that you'd fight, and then after that you'd close the rift. And you have to do 75 of those for an achievement. They have dragons. They'll have camps that you set up through the game. Overall, it's a fun game. If you like the series, I think you'll enjoy it. If you like RPGs, it's a very deep RPG that you could play multiple times and have different experiences with it, with different classes, with different abilities. And the achievements on it, there's a lot of story related achievements. There's a lot of not really clearing the whole map, but clearing a lot of the map in each area for like the rifts I said. There's some other stuff. I don't even want to pronounce it, but there's some other things that you'll need to find in the maps to be able to complete those maps. But overall, it's just, it was a fun game. I'm glad that I finally got around to doing it, and you will have to beat it on the hardest difficulty at least once, but that's just the main game. If you decide to venture into the DLC, there is, let me see, I think it's 3 DLCs. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 3 DLCs, 2 of which provide new areas for you to visit. The last one does have another map for you to visit, but it also includes some challenges on how to play through the game with some handicaps on it, which are not that difficult to do, but just provide a little bit of an extra challenge. So overall, you can find that game on EA Play, or you can find the Game of the Year edition for less than $10, which is well worth it in my opinion, with all that content that you get. So that is Dragon Age Inquisition. Definitely worth it if you're a fan of the series or a fan of RPGs.
Well, that's awesome. I do have a couple questions related to the achievement list, though. So,
perfect.
You mentioned that there are difficulty achievements, and those achievements are stackable.
Yes.
Do you have a sense? Because it looks like the way you played it is you started on the hardest difficulty straight up, or did you play the game a little bit on an easier difficulty? Because you have to set the difficulty at the beginning and never change it, correct, for those achievements?
Yep, you do. I did start on the hardest difficulty because I played the first 2 games, so I felt like I knew how to play the games a little bit. So I did start out. There was only a few little rough patches. The end of the prologue is kind of hard because you had a pretty big boss demon that you have to face at the end of the prologue that can cause some problems. I didn't have too many problems with it, but overall, I didn't think it's that bad because you can always run away and heal at your camps and then go back and face the bosses again. They will heal. It's not like you can just kill half their damage or half their health and then run back to your base and heal and then go back and they're still there. They're going to be back, but at least it gives you opportunities to heal and try again, and usually you're not too far away. So
okay, because that was the question I was getting at, is do you have advice for people who are jumping in and doing this sort of thing that would make it easier, or things they should do to prepare for that? Is there like a certain build that makes surviving on the nightmare difficulty more possible?
Yeah, I mean, so when you are doing those war table missions that I talked about, they do when you do them, you do get experience points through them, and then you can help build your Inquisition, which helps your party that you send out on missions, yourself and your companions out on missions. And one of them that you will eventually get after you put a few points into that specific tree for those experience points will let you hold more health potions. So that will definitely be helpful on the nightmare mode. I think it's what it's called for that. And so definitely get that as quickly as you can. So that way, I think you can only hold 5 or 6 at the beginning, and then with the extra perk, you can get up to 8. So that definitely helps you out. And then you can always customize it. So if you want your your characters to not ever use a health potion, you can set it so they basically would just fight until they die, and then you can either try to revive them or save the health potions for yourself, or you can put it on there and have them say, okay, when they get less than 20% health, they're automatically going to put a health potion on, so you don't have to worry about it. So it kind of customizes a little bit for you to how you want to play the game, and how you want them to use their skills, how you want them to use health potions or mana potions, all of that stuff.
Okay. And the other thing I see in glancing through the list, because I'm not very familiar with Dragon Age since it's sort of outside of the pocket of games I typically enjoy, but I noticed, especially in one of the DLC packs, the Trespasser DLC, there are a lot of missable achievements.
Yes.
So, are there things people should know going in? Are these things that are going to require multiple playthroughs? It looks like the main game has a couple of things, but like one's like getting a romantic relationship, and that's probably something most people just do, but you can miss. So, is there any like, hey, watch out for this achievement as you're going through because you'll save yourself some time kind of deal, or is most of it pretty on the way?
So what you should do is you should just go through the game, and if you want to go through and do like one huge playthrough on easy, normal, and just get all the story stuff out of the way, whatever, you do that, you level up your character, you can bring your character back, go through the nightmare, and it's a little bit easier because your character's high leveled. After you're done doing the main story mission and everything, it reaches an endpoint with one of the DLCs. Like the DLC is kind of set years after the story ends. And then what you can do is start a new game and do those trials. So most of them, as you're seeing, they're trial achievements. So you have to start the game and put on these trials, and then you're kind of locked into not advancing or doing something a specific way into a certain part of the story to get that achievement. So for one of them, it's called the Trial of the Fool, and it says take it slow on reach Skyhold at level 5 or less. So Skyhold, you don't reach that till you're about 25% of the way through the game. So it's kind of, if you just start killing everything, you're going to be above level 5. So basically you just kind of have to run through the game really fast and avoid combat and everything. Put it on easy so you don't get XP very much. And then, just skip basically everything you can and try to get to that point without getting it. So that's kind of the stuff that you have to do. You have to start a new game and do, certain actions up to a certain point to get that achievement, which I didn't find it very difficult. It is the longest update DLC that's part of it, add-on, whatever you want to call it. It is the longest one. It's the 15 to 20 hour to get through all of that. But it's not really that difficult because you don't have to play on the hardest difficulty for any of them, I don't think. I don't remember playing on that at all.
Okay.
So
good to know.
I know you don't shy away from buying the new stuff. How long is it going to take you to get to the Veilguard?
It's not going to take me as long as it took me to go from 2 to Inquisition. Veilguard, EA came out and said they are not doing any DLC for it. The game is the game, which I appreciate them doing it. It looks like it's about a 50 to 60 hour completion, so it's nothing too crazy. And so I do want to reward them for that because I don't think we need to be having a bunch of DLC. I don't think we need to have some 100-hour game or, in anything. Just make a good story, and I appreciate them doing that. And so I am looking forward to it. I think one person I've talked with only that has played it, and they liked it. And so that's good to hear, but I heard some of the dialogue or other stuff might be a little cringy, so we'll see. It's not going to take me that long, though. And even then, looking on TA, it's got a 4.25, so it's not like it's...
Oh wow.
That
Inquisition
bad.
has a 4.4, so that's not a huge drop off.
Not yeah. So that's Dragon Age Inquisition. If you're an RPG fan, definitely look for it. It's free on not free, but it's part of Game Pass with EA Play for the base game, and then the DLC's pretty cheap if you get the Game of the Year edition. So definitely work. Check that out if you're a fan of that. Koosh, what have you been playing? What do you want to talk about?
Oh man. So when when I was trying to think of stuff to talk about, I immediately settled on Animal Well, and then I was like, oh wait.
I was thinking about Control, right?
Yeah, well, no.
Oh, shit.
The thing about Animal Well that makes it such a good game to me is the exploration and the discovery of all the stuff that's in it. And so it's going to be very hard to talk about it in detail and not give away that stuff if people should want to play this game. So what is it? Well, Animal Well is a Metroidvania. No shocker there. It's basically was created by one developer. He started it in 2017 as a hobby project, and he went full-time in 2022, and it was released in May of 2024 to everything but Xbox, because that's the way they like to do things, apparently. And then Xbox, it was released October of 2024, and that I bought it day one because everything I had heard about it. Now, this game got a lot of press. It got a lot of praise from reviewers, and a lot of people then shunned it immediately because they said it can't possibly live up to the hype. I'm here to tell you this game was hyped for a reason. If you are into this type of game, wow, you're in for a real treat. If if Metroidvanias aren't your thing, if exploration, if platforming is not your thing, then, well, yeah, it's not going to be for you. But if you like those types of games, this thing lives up to all of the hype that they were giving it. It was nominated for the best indie game of 2024. It was nominated for the best debut indie game of 2024. This, of course, is the Game Awards I'm talking about. So it didn't win anything, but it was nominated. So
this was a tough year to when you have some of those indie games that were nominated in other top level categories. So just getting a nomination is a big deal.
Exactly. And, there's a lot of indie games out there, and just getting nominated for 2 categories, pretty cool. Even though they're very similar. Something I didn't know, but as I was doing a little bit of research, because I didn't want to know anything about the game, really. Once I heard that it had some really awesome puzzles, and people were just blown away by it, I didn't want to know anything. So I wanted to go in blind. So I did a little bit of research to talk about it, and people may not be exactly as excited about it as I was. So here, I'm going to share some stuff that I think is very interesting after the fact that doesn't spoil anything. And that is that the developer, he set it up with like 4 tiers of enjoyment, 4 layers to this onion. The first one is, hey, it's a game. Straightforward. Just get to the credits. That's your first level of enjoyment. Your second level of enjoyment is that, there are extra puzzles in here that will get you secret gear items, and they'll help you to reach secret hidden areas that aren't on the main path. They're not required to get to the end of the game. And it will also get you 100% of the achievements. So that's the second layer. Most of us as achievement hunters will want to get to that point. Then the third layer, introducing additional challenges like an alternate reality game element, which I was not aware of. It's already passed. This stuff has already happened, so you can't take part in it, but it's already happened. And it took 50 players or more to collaborate and do this. Why? Well, because in every person's game, I guess there's a random seed, and they got a piece of this puzzle, and there's 50 pieces of the puzzle, so you need at least 50 people to solve this. And they did. And what they got from that is it basically showed them how to get to a new secret area, which I don't know what that is yet, because I'm not completely done with the game yet, so I don't really want to know the details of these things. I just think that it's cool that all this was planned from the beginning. And the fourth and final level is that there's a puzzle involving items only unlockable through repeatable playthroughs or repeat playthrough challenges like speed running, maybe I think minimum number of steps, things like that, maintain across your save files. Now that is way more than I want to do, and way more than I would do, but I like the fact that this person planned that level of detail and that level of replayability and just cool stuff. Collectively, all these playthroughs will give you clues towards a final ending, and he thought it would take people 10 years. Oh boy, he completely underestimated the community. It took them 1 month for what he thought would take 10 years. Took these monsters, these total gaming monsters took him 1 month to crack all that stuff and come up with all the secrets, which I, once again, not explaining them. I don't know what they are myself. I don't want to spoil it. So what can I tell you about this game that makes you actually know about the game and want to play it? Like I said, it's a Metroidvania. There's no combat, so you're not going to be shooting things. You're not going to be stabbing things, but you will be running away from things every now and then. There's a couple, let's say like 4 to 5 chase sequences where you are avoiding something. And that sometimes may take you through multiple screens. And that can be frustrating. But once you've done it enough times, you kind of know the pattern, you get better at it, and you can complete it. I was getting really frustrated at one chase sequence today, not realizing that was the end of the game. I was like, geez, why is this so frustrating? And then I finished it, and I was like, credits, and I was like, oh, that's why. I just beat the game. So there's that. What does it look like? Well, it's 2D small sprites, and you play as this little blob. You kind of, at the very beginning of the game, you kind of pop out of like a seed pod. So I don't know if you're a animated seed or what. I don't know. But you're just kind of running around in it's very small graphic. You're this very small thing on a big screen, and you're just navigating and looking for secret walls that you can walk through. A lot of times, if you remember, like Metroid on the DS, you could get into like little passageways that only your ball form would be able to traverse. Well, you're basically a ball, so you kind of find those in this game as well, and you'll pass through little passages that you didn't realize were passages through screens to go multiple screens over, and it's very cool, very in depth. Very concentrated in terms of like all the passageways to get from place to place in this game. The traversal, because that's a big part of Metroidvanias, comes through items that you pick up. So you're not gaining powers, you're just finding items. And that is part of the genius of this game. And some people will be like, oh, I can't, genius, here we go again. No, it's freaking genius. Like, you pick up an item, and you're like, what am I? Why do I have this thing? Like, this thing makes no sense. This is not a typical power. Like, oh, a hook shot. Yeah, that's power. That's a typical thing you get. Oh, a boomerang. Yeah, that's a thing you normally get. No, those are not the things you're going to be getting. And what's also, I don't want to go too far into it. It's amazing what you can do with those things. That's all I will say. And like, things don't just serve one purpose. Each item has multiple things that it can do, and they will blow your mind. That in the first half hour of the game, my jaw dropped like 3 or 4 times. I was like, I cannot believe this is a thing I'm doing. That this is an implementation in a game that I've never seen before. And like, that's awesome. Like, as a gamer who's played a lot of games over a lot of years, this guy came up with new things, and that it blew me away. I love it. One of the things you find in Metroidvania games is as you move through a room, as you get more powers, there's multiple ways through that room that can make it help you get through it faster. And that is definitely present here as well. And when the story ends, like it did for me today, you'll most certainly have more to do. When you hit credits, you are not done this game. As an achievement hunter, you're definitely not done this game, because I guarantee you didn't find everything. You will have to go through and solve more puzzles. You'll have to find more hidden eggs. That's kind of the collectible in this game, are eggs, and they're hidden inside of chests. You eventually get something that will help you discover if there's a chest on a screen that you can't see. If you're frustrated with, I can't figure out where something is, or I can't figure out how to get through here, there's almost certainly an item or a power that will help you to do that. So you're not going to have to go outside of the game and grab a guide to track all this stuff down. Like, there's stuff built into the game that will help you find these sorts of things. I don't want to get too specific in this. Like, why is this first item amazing? Well, that's going to ruin the game for you, and I'm not going to do that to your experience, because I think this game, like I said, if you're into Metroidvanias, if you're into exploration and puzzle solving, this is a game that you owe it to yourself to at least check out. It's very expensive right now. It's $25, I think, for an indie game, and that price hasn't dropped much. But when this drops, if that is your thing, you owe it to yourself to check this game out. I'm really excited to go back and do this. I've got, I keep this journal next to me, this scroll or spiral book, and I've filled up like 2 or 3 pages with things that I think are puzzles. And it's so hard to tell because they're kind of woven really well into the game. I mean, this guy, he wrote his own engine in C++, and he made it difficult for people to disassemble the game and find secrets that way. Like, he named things numerically so that, normally in programming, you name things after what they do. And so it, kind of gives you a clue. If you were looking at the code, you'd be like, okay. So that's what this thing does. No, now instead you're looking at this thing that's called item 42. And so he's obfuscated all that sort of stuff to kind of keep the secrets in there. And man, this game's awesome. I'm going to stop there because I'm not really telling you much other than you need to go play this if you're into adventure, if you're into Metroidvanias.
Well, your effusive praise of games is why people listen to this podcast. So it's exciting to hear.
Hope it's not too frustrating. So
no, so my brother has played and completed Animal Well, so I've heard a lot about this because this Animal Well has this effect on the people who play it. When we were talking about it, I said to him, and I don't know if you would agree with this kind of assessment, Koosh, but it reminded me a little bit when people were starting playing Tunic, because the idea in Tunic, right, was you had an instruction manual that was being filled in because they wanted you to get that experience that kids growing up playing Zelda in the pre-internet days got, right, where you'd have to talk to your friends and be, hey, I found this lantern here. And Animal Well sort of evoked that same feeling, because when people were collecting that one puzzle where you needed the 50 different pieces from the different seeds, they had to get on message boards and work together and put it together. And as you acknowledged, by the time it's on the Xbox, that information is out there. But some of the joy in the game is that self-exploration. It's not looking it up. It's having the aha moment when you're like, oh, I didn't think you could use a rubber band for that, or whatever the item might be.
100%. And just like in Tunic, I remember very specifically one screen in Tunic. I've been through the screen like 30 times, never knowing that there is a secret path around the corner of that building that takes you to this other screen. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I walked by this, 50 times, and there's something hidden there. There's, the very first screen of this game, there's a secret. So this thing is chock-a-block full of secrets and puzzles, and man, if that is your thing, you owe it to yourself to check out Animal Well.
The other thing that's notable, and I did not research this, so my memory may be a little faulty, so if you caught in your research, please correct me if I'm a little bit off on this, but one of the other things that was super engaging about Animal Well is it's a really tiny game. Like, megabit wise or whatever, it is a tiny game. And I think I read, in fact, when they moved it to Xbox, the splash screen for it is actually heavier than the entire game.
Maybe. And I guess
the developer, I believe, said that he used a lot of negative space to preserve memory. And the reason why it's Animal Well is apparently is he just likes creating animal designs. So
there's like 4 major zones in the game, or 4 major areas that you're trying to complete. 4 items, 1 item per area, and each one of those is dedicated to a particular animal. And there's other animals strewn throughout the game as well. But I don't really know where the well part of it comes, but very, very quickly, I'll talk about the achievements vaguely, because number one, don't look at the achievements. If you want to be surprised by this game, don't look at the achievements, because they might give something away. There's not that many of them. There are 20. The majority of them are for progressing through the game, completing this area, getting the item for this area, finally getting to the end of the game and completing that. Then there's achievements for using your items. And that doesn't sound That sounds like the cheap games, like, oh, use your thing 20 times. No, it's not that. It's use your thing in a way that's going to blow your freaking mind. Is really what the achievement should say. But then there's also, you get one for doing something 1,000 times. They have achievements, cumulative achievements for finding the secret eggs. There's a couple different ones of those. I think there's one for 32. There's one for all. There's one for 8 and 16. So, and then of course there is one for finally, I guess, doing the final ultimate secret thing that takes you multiple playthroughs or to figure out how to do the final run. There is a final ending that is different from the one that you see when you hit the credits. So,
a couple other things to note with the achievement list. This would be a great game for the all capitals day if we ever have that again, because I think everything's all caps. But also, it does have a lot of strange values. So it's not particularly long, but if you're someone who, and it is very completable, like you definitely can complete the game. But if weird values bother you, it does have a bunch of weird values, right? So just something to know. But that's not a good reason to reject a game, especially one that you definitely can get through.
And if you get to a room that just absolutely kills you and you have no idea how you're going to get through that room, just like I said, there's a power for that. There's a thing for that'll make that room nothing later on. So just know, oh man, this is going to be impossible. Like this platforming challenge, you'll be okay.
I remember very early in when my brother was playing the game, he's like, I ran into this thing. I'm guessing it's just a red herring. And then like 3 weeks later, he's like, it wasn't a red herring. I just hadn't figured it out yet. Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So I've got a bunch of secrets I still have to find. I'm not going to the places to find the solutions for those. I'm going to bang my head against this for a little bit longer, and then get the full completion. But man, this game thankfully lived up to the hype. I feel did. Hopefully, I am not setting the hype bar too high. But I just want you to know that had you heard initially when this came out that the hype was high and that maybe it's overhyped, no, it deserved all the praise it got. And I'll stop there. I don't want to hype it anymore.
Well, I'll second too. The other person I know who's played Animal Well also has hyped it exactly the same way. So that's 2 for 2 in my experience.
Cool.
Wow. So is that game of the year for 2025 then? Is that what we're talking
about?
They're all. I'm glad you're having a lot of fun with it. I have not heard anything about this, surprisingly, which is kind of weird. I at least have heard something on it.
Indie game, Metroidvania. I put this game down for a while at a time because I just, it's one of those things where I just don't want to devour it all at one time. But also, like, there's so much to it. Like, it's a very dense experience. And so, like, I would walk away from it and I'd go play something else. I'd come back like 2 weeks later, something like that, and I'd be like, why did I set this down? Because it's so good.
I think also its late appearance on Xbox might have impacted how some of us caught wind of it, because we didn't get access to it right when everybody was really getting in on some of these puzzles. So that might have affected some of its word of mouth.
Yeah, that's crazy that when you're telling about they're trying to do it for 10 years and got it in 1 month. That's crazy. But I'm glad that's something I'm going to look at. I see on TA. I don't know. Let me see how many people have done it. 4 people have listed it as a 10 to 12 hour completion. Are you calling BS on that, or?
Well, I mean, okay. So once again, it's been out for PlayStation, it's been out for PC, Steam, all that fun stuff.
Sure.
So people could have played it there, really enjoyed it, and come over here and just blasted through it.
Gotcha.
And they could just be like, "Oh, it only took me 6 hours." Okay. Great job. My natural playthrough, without really looking much stuff up at all, is 14 hours and 42 minutes. That's to hit credits and then to do a little bit of extra. I'm probably going to double that by the time I'm done. At the most, double, I would think.
Sounds good.
I feel like TA completion estimates are if it's a game where you can use a walkthrough or guides that are already out there, it's really not a good indicator of how natural play would go. So TA's estimates are a little difficult in that way. Like I see on How Long to Beat, it says a completionist estimate's like 17 hours.
Okay.
But everyone plays at their own pace, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be that once people hit the credits, they're just like, okay, let's do the mop up. Let's do all the research for all the mop up. Where I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't want to do that yet. Like, I still have a couple of puzzles that I'm aware are puzzles, and I kind of want to solve them.
Well, that's according. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Well, according to something I see on Reddit, like apparently reviewers early on said it was about a 25-hour game, but they were playing the game at a point where all those solutions weren't available yet, right? So,
yeah,
it's definitely going to be your mileage. Your miles will vary depending on how you choose to play it. But it does seem, from what you've said, Koosh, and what from my brother said, like, don't do yourself the disservice with this game of just following a guide. Like, don't. Because then if you're judging the game based on, oh, I followed a guide and Animal Well was pretty easy and it's just a Metroidvania, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
So try it on your own. And obviously if you get stuck and you want to use a guide, that's fine. But if you really want to experience Animal Well the way that you'll get the best experience from it, go in guide free. Try the puzzles on your own.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would never suggest playing this game and following a guide at the same time. That's
takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, that would take all the fun out of this game, I believe. Mm-hmm. So,
well, thank you very much, Koosh. That was Animal Well. So put that on your trackers, play that game, support that. It sounds like I put a lot of work into it. The developer did, so give that one a go. We are going to go over to Matrarch. What do you have for us this week?
I have a game I played many years ago that was recently released onto Xbox, because that's kind of a theme for me this year, it seems. I am going to talk a little bit about KLONOA, Phantasy Reverie series. KLONOA Phantom Reverie series, is part of what I think is a thing that Namco is trying to do right now. These Reverie games, they did one with Katamari Damacy as well, where there's a Katamari plus Royal Reverie. So these are mini collections of Namco games. KLONOA it's Phantasy Reverie, not Phantom Reverie, pardon me. KLONOA Phantasy Reverie series includes 2 games. KLONOA Door to Phantomile. This was originally released in 1997 on the PlayStation 1. And KLONOA Lunatea's Veil, which was originally released in 2001 on the PlayStation 2. So I had played KLONOA Door to Phantomile in 1997. I had never played Lunatea's Veil before. It is a platformer. It is has collectibles you're expected to go get. There are 2 types. There are diamonds that really don't do anything. They kind of work like coins in Mario. You collect 100 of them, you get another life. You can collect them all. Each stage does have a finite amount, but it's not necessary for anything. And then they have a second collectible, which is 6 characters. In the first game, there are like 6 characters from that area you're saving or you're freeing. In the second game, they're more like dolls. But either way, it's a collectible of 6 of them. The game tracks this very, very nicely for you. Each level has exactly 6. This is indicated by a 2x3 grid on the screen when you collect them, and they're in order. So if you've collected 1 and 2 and collect the next one and it's number 4, you know you've missed one and you can go back, because sometimes there are diverging paths. A lot of times, though, KLONOA is pretty linear, but it brought back sort of nice memories of that sort of game. It is not terribly difficult. It is meant to be a character platformer. I think Namco at that time was trying to rethink its mascot game. Obviously, Namco has Pac-Man, and KLONOA has a Pac-Man icon on his hat. But I don't think KLONOA really took off in that way, although it's a cutesy character that you could very easily make plush animals out of. The first game I have very enduring memories of, because the story is actually, it was the first time I had seen a story like that. The twist in the story at the end, I'm not going to get into, was the first time I had seen that particular story play out. And that really stuck with me. So of course, playing it now when I already know the twist, it wasn't quite the same, but it's still fun to play. KLONOA is, it really is similar to Super Mario Brothers in terms of it's generally left to right scrolling. It is 2.5D. You're mostly on a single plane, but sometimes you will go into the background and things like that. That is more present in the second game. You have what's called a wind bullet. It's a ring that has a little wind projectile. You use that wind bullet to attack enemies. When you attack the enemies, they just puff up and you can hold them and then you can throw them. You can use this to enhance your double jump or to take down other enemies. The second game enhances that experience. It includes different enemy types. So there'll be an enemy type, for example, that once you grab that enemy, if you hit an enemy, it will turn yellow. And if you hit a second enemy, it'll turn blue. And if you hit a third enemy, it'll turn pink. So it uses this mechanic to start some, to allow you to solve some puzzles for entering different areas. I don't know that there's too much more to say about all that. It is a very competent sort of standard title of that time. I love it mostly, I think, because of my nostalgia goggles, but I think it's been on sale somewhat frequently. It's worth it. It's actually on sale at this moment for $9.99 instead of its usual $39.99, and that's a good price for it, considering it is 2 games. Each game is about 8 to 10 hours. It could be less if you're very, very good at them. It may look like it's a little difficult because it boasts a TA ratio of just over a 2, but it's really mostly just for playing the game. I get the feeling that given the way KLONOA is, most people bought it like me because they remembered it from their youth. They played the first couple stages and just never went back. The achievements are almost entirely for beating the game. You do need to get all of the doll collectibles or character collectibles because those open up an extra level that you do need to complete for the achievements. But yeah, I've really enjoyed going back and playing this. It's been nice to play Lunatea's Veil because I hadn't played that before, so I'm curious to see how it plays out. I don't think that this will result in more KLONOA games, but it's been nice to revisit it for sure.
Yeah, I see a lot of the achievements are for defeating. Are these mini bosses or certain just random enemies? What are they?
So each stage is labeled a vision, and each vision has 2 parts and then an enemy part.
Okay.
So it's pretty much for finishing that third level where there's a boss fight.
Okay.
One other thing I wanted to mention, the soundtrack for this game for KLONOA, sometimes, most of the times it's sort of background noise, but the tracks that are good are really good and are earwormy. And 1 or 2 of them was actually in Taiko no Tatsujin. So I know most of us just played it by boosting it a whole bunch or letting it run so we can get those achievements out of the way. But there are a couple of really great pieces of soundtrack. So it's worth keeping your headphones on and listening to it. They also did add an easy mode. So the easy mode does not affect achievements. It has 2 major differences from the base game mode, which is the way it played originally. One is that the wind bullet travels farther. So it's easier to get enemies and whatever else because you don't have to get so close to them. The other thing is you have infinite lives. So you don't have to worry about running out of them and having to start a stage over. And there's tons of checkpoints throughout each level too. So you're really not going to get set back too far if you lose a life.
So you said that it's you do is it multiple mini levels within the level to get to the last one to defeat the enemy? Is that kind of how, or certain?
No, they're 2 standard size stages.
So okay.
So the first game, which I'm more familiar with, is really exactly that sort of cookie cutter. It's 6, I guess you can call them worlds or whatever, and each world is a stage 1, a stage 2, and the boss, and that's it. It's very simple. The second game is it plays the same way, but the aesthetics of it are different. So this one looks a little more like a Super Mario World map in that you walk between little dots and those are the levels, but it's still essentially the same layout. You just occasionally have to go back to a certain area to trigger the next story beat.
So if you weren't playing on the easy mode and you're just playing normally, if you pass the stage and you went to the next stage, but you did die, would you have to go back all the way to the beginning part, or does it save it in between that, and so you just go back to the beginning of that stage?
If you play on normal and you run out of lives, you go back to the beginning of that vision. So if you're on vision
okay.
2-2, you're going to start at the beginning of 2-2. You're not going to start all the way at the beginning of the game. I mean, I never considered myself to be particularly good at platformers. And even at that point in 1997, when I played it, I really didn't have any difficulty finishing the game at that time. So I don't think most people would. It's very forgiving, and you can turn on that easy mode. I played it on normal. It really was not too bad.
How would you say it compares to the 97 version to this new one? What did they do different? If you know what they did different, or
so there's some graphical upgrade, but it's not one of these when you're playing Halo C Anniversary Edition where you can press select and see what it used to look like, or even I think the new Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver releases also allow you to do that. There isn't a way to see back and forth, so it's a pretty straight port, just like the Katamari Damacy is. So in that way, it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, right? It kind of feels a little lazy, and you do notice it in the audio sometimes. The characters, while there is a story, they speak in a sort of gibberish language, and you can kind of hear that like audio quality of that gibberish language. Like that doesn't seem to have been up-resed when they released that, but it's not really the biggest issue, but it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I saw this. I picked up when it was on sale, and I was looking forward to playing it. So I'm actually more jazzed now because I watched the gameplay video and I thought, oh, the platforming looks interesting. Like it doesn't look like your typical mascot platformer. I think that probably has to do with the using enemies against other enemies mechanic. Is probably what I was not getting from the gameplay video, but it kind of makes sense now that I'm watching after hearing what you were saying. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this.
I think what's one of the strengths of KLONOA is the fact that you don't need to feel obligated to sit and play it from start to finish. If you play it and you get through one full vision or whatever, that's fine. You could put it down and set it down for a week and come back to it. Again, there is a story, and I think that like I've already said, I had really strong memories about the story from my childhood because it was the first time I had seen that particular twist. It won't probably play the same for you because you've already experienced that. But gameplay wise, it's just a really solid, like that might be a good game to play with your daughter in the room because it's bright and it's colorful and the music is cheery and it's not scary and it's not difficult and you can turn it on easy and have no risk of losing.
Yeah, this is something I haven't really heard of. I mean, I was gaming in '97. I didn't really remember this at all, but from what you've said, it sounds interesting, and I'll definitely look at picking it up now that it's on sale.
Yeah, this current price is definitely the right. Like, I mean, I would say even a little more because you are getting two games that people paid $50 for back in the day. I mean, I certainly got the first one at full price. But yeah, this is. I didn't realize it was on sale right now. I guess part of the Ultimate Game sale going on. But yeah, it's not going to be the best game you've ever played this year, Koosh. I'm sorry, but it is worth the time to put into it. TA has it about 15 to 20 hour completion. I think that's actually fair because you can't really shortcut the game in any way, and it is not super difficult, so it's not really going to be skill gated that much. So I'm currently at 12 hours and I'm about halfway through the second game. So I'm probably going to land right in that 15 to 20 hour bracket too.
You know, I'm getting the sense I might want to make the beginning of 2025 the half year of the mascot platformer and just go through KLONOA, go through Marsupilami and those other things.
You have
those other
Lucky's Tale to play.
Yes, I need to finish the last stack of Super Lucky's Tale. Which was a great game. I love that. So yeah, I might stack a couple of these and try to make a theme out of it.
Oh, see, you got a new 2025 goal to set for yourself now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's KLONOA Phantasy Reverie series. I promise if you just type KLONOA, it's the one thing that's going to come up. So don't worry about the rest of it. It is technically a collection. So if that's a thing for you, right, even though it's only 2 games. But yeah, recommended, especially at the current price. $39.99 is a little much. But yeah, it's a very chill sort of platformer that I think most people will enjoy. And it's bright and colorful. So that's kind of a nice difference too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, very nice. Thank you very much, both of y'all, for your games. Check those out on TA and see if that's something that would be of interest to you. Like Matrarch said, we have the countdown sale going on right now, so that'll last for one more week. I believe it's the 2nd of January, and there are some games on there that seem intriguing. I'm looking at Garfield Kart. I haven't played a kart racer game in a while, and that's $2. So I was like, oh, I can try that. We just watched the new movie, and I'm sure my kids would like that. So check that out and see if there's any games for sale. By the time this comes out, you'll have a few more days to sift through that. And we haven't done a Game Pass segment in a while, and we've got our resident Game Passable host on now. So I figured, hey, let's do something real quick on that. So out now, there's a little indie game called Indiana Jones that's out on Game Pass. Go check that out. It's spoiler alert for 2 weeks from now. It's probably going to be my game of the year for 2024. We've also had Hunt Showdown 1896 has come onto Game Pass recently, and if you've played that and completed that before, I hear you can just auto pop all the new achievements on the stack for it, or whatever you want to call it, the new release for it. So that could be some easy gamer score if you played that before. We also have For the King 2 was released on Game Pass. Wild Frost also is on Game Pass. EA Sports WRC. We have Overthrown, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Daisy returned to Game Pass. Forza Motorsports is on the more general Game Pass standard, I guess. Goat Simulator as well, along with Haunty and Humanity. That all released. They should all be out there now on Game Pass for December. And then you'll have a few more days to play the following game. You have Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle Edition, 68-hour fighting game. Close to the Sun, I did that one. It's 3 to 4 hours if you plug in a keyboard. There's a forum post on that in for the game on TA, so if you're interested in doing that, it helps cut out some of the time-related achievements, and then you can just play the game like normal, like I did. Humankind has some unobtainables on it, so I would say a hard pass on that. Yuck. Koosh completed, like you said, he completed Lego 2K Drive. That's a 60 to 8 hour game. Anything would you recommend that to purchase if you're not able to complete it?
Yeah, there's no way you're going to complete it in the next couple of days. You're going to be doing nothing but Lego 2K. Otherwise, there's a little bit of challenge. So there's some skill-based challenge to it. A couple, the drifting challenges in particular are very tight in terms of the amount of mistakes you can make. Even though the mechanics are, this is a Lego game, right? It's not going to have the most complicated mechanics. The drifting feels nice. What feels really nice is driving through the world and having everything explode. The only things that don't explode are the terrain. So like hills, walls. Most buildings will not explode. But trees, anything on the road, like girders or cones or anything like that, even people, when you drive through them, other cars, unlike other games where you hit a car and you bounce off of them, in this game you're gonna smash through cars in the main world. Now, when you're doing a race, it's different. Then they do have bounce mechanics and stuff. But as you're driving through the main world, things just explode. There's Legos flying everywhere. It's really fun. Should you buy it? If you're into Lego games, sure, it's doable. Although there are a couple, like I said, skill-based achievement spikes. If you get the right cars and you play enough, it's possible that you can get through it. Now, if driving's not your thing, or you don't care about the completion, it's still a fun game. I had a good time. My daughter loves driving around. One of the cool mechanics is that your car transforms immediately. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to hit a button. You can do that if you want to. You can make it a manual transformation if you want. But by default, it's automatic. So your car will change into a boat, will change into some sort of off-road vehicle as you hit those different terrains. Really fun. It was a great game. I would not have wanted to pay full price for it. If it's on sale, I'm sure Lego games go on sale for good prices. So if you wait long enough, I'm sure this will eventually hit that point if it does interest you. It was kind of fun. Yeah. It was a lot to do in a short amount of time, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Great. 2 more games. We have Party Animals. It's 80-ish hour game. There has some updates with that, with achievements. And then McPixel 3, I'm finishing that one up. That's an 8 to 10 hour game with the walkthrough. So my daughters are enjoying that, actually, because they're like, Dad, what's the point of this game? And I was like, there is no point of this game.
How does it feel with a walkthrough? Because I would not want to do this with a walkthrough because it's so weird.
So I don't play with the walkthrough until I want to get all the gags. I just usually play through it normally the first time through the episode, and then after I'm done, I need to get 100%. You can hit the X button. I found out that like a couple hours ago. Hit the X button, and you can see where all the things that you can actually
interaction points.
Interaction points. So that was, once I figured that out, it made things a little bit easier. But it is there if you need it. So, but yeah. they like when he starts peeing on stuff. Dad, he's peeing on this thing. I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it.
It's a big plot point in that game. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, well, I want to mention again in our little small portion of Brad Camp that Matriarch did hit 1 million gamer score. So congratulations on doing that. And thanks for the story. I always love hearing about what people do to get those big milestones. And it sounds like you chose a specific thing for you. And I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, guys, it's been great. I've enjoyed hearing about your games. I added some stuff to my need to play in the future thanks to your glowing recommendations. Look forward to hearing about any future games you play on, and you are always welcome to join Elle and I on the panel and talk about games. We like having you.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you to you both and to Elroy and X for sort of taking the mantle and getting things running again. It was fun to record. It's been a while.
One thing I will plug, X mentioned he's doing some, let me pull it up real fast. He's doing a dream shop from his work on the 2nd. He can post the details on that. So if you're interested on that, look forward to that. Is there anything that you guys want to say before we finish out level 330?
Oh, have a good year. Hope you get a lot of good gaming.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's goals for 2025 and what they're looking to accomplish. I think a lot of us have experienced a pretty significant change in our gaming habits over the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious to hear how people did based on what was read out earlier and what they're looking to do next.
Yeah. Maybe Elle and I can get together and get a question out to patrons. We can see what goals you have and what your favorite games are for 2024 that you played. I always enjoy reading about those because it highlights some games that maybe I didn't think about or haven't heard of or forgot about. So I always look forward to hearing that. But anyways, this is level 330 of Achievement Hunting 101. You can find us on Discord, AH101. Koosh does a great job of posting all this stuff on our Patreon, YouTube, Podbean, all that stuff. So check us out. Check out all the older levels, all the games that that are recommended, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. And we'll catch you later.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What's going on, Achievement Hunters? This is Wildwest 08 here, and I just wanted to give a special shout out and a warm, happy holiday greeting to our Patreons. We are very grateful for helping us through this podcast this year and the changes we have made. We're very grateful for the support you've given us, and we just wanted to give you guys and your family, your loved ones, your friends, anybody that you care about and love, just an extra special holiday greeting this year. Thank you, Expovos, Nerdy Neo, R56, Cooper, S11, Elsock, Stega, Hurricane Dale, Mighty Mango, Anthony Bitts, Icefire TN, Rhett Stack, Hawkeye Berry, Arutarek, The Alpha Seagull, Northern Lass, Freaky RO, David McCarthy, Hackenpon, Chesno, Facial LaFleur, Wheezy Fuzz, P-Tart, Philip Wendell, Carpe Adam, Freemhole, What the Pug, Victoria Maddox, Hatton 90, Skeptical Mario, and Jay Black. We appreciate you guys supporting us and look forward to some giveaways. Hopefully we can get scheduled this year, and hopefully we'll also be able to get going with the live shows here in a little bit. Once I get a little more settled in, I'll start working on that. But thank you very much for helping us out. We wish you, however you celebrate these holiday season, that you have had a great year, and that you and your family and friends have all had a good, healthy holiday season. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.